What's going on this evening, everybody? This is DH Thorne. Wow, full house already. I just checked out the chat. Yo. All right, hopefully everybody can hear me pretty good. Let's see. What's up, Steroid? What's up, Tara? Vex, what's going on? Jacob Dow. Sam A, what's up, Sam? Carrie, my sister, what's going on, sweetheart? Hey, everybody, how's it going? Black-pilled son. I never learned how to read. Nice. What's going on, everybody? Yeah, this is one of those nights where I don't really have a lot that I need to talk about or really want to talk about. It's just kind of an excuse to hang out with everybody and see what's up and see what people are thinking about and what you guys want to talk about. Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you for letting me know it's coming in clear. Thank you. All right, cool. So yeah, like I don't have like a predefined script or anything. I just figured I'd show up and just say what's going on and, you know, just see what everybody's moods are at. Everything's actually pretty cool for me, in spite of whatever you may have seen in yesterday's video. That was actually really not that much of an issue. In fact, I was a little bit sad. Let me just move some crap out of the way here before it falls over on me. I got too many books piled up I've been working on. I've been reading and stuff. Steroid, thank you, brother. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that so much. Didn't even do anything yet. You didn't even ask me a question. Thank you so much, brother. I really hope everything's working out for you. You know, message me if things go sideways again, you know, or if they go worse, all right? Because there's a lot of people going through something like what you're going through, you know, and you can't help everybody, but if we can help one person deal with a situation like that, brother, I mean, once again, everybody who's watching this, Steroid's going through it, but I think it's getting a little better last I talked to him. But those of you who like to do positive workings for people who need it, take it from me. This is a gentleman who absolutely deserves help from everything I've heard, from what he's told me. He's a good guy, real good guy, and he's trying to do right. And I don't know what he's done in the past, but he's trying to do right now. And I always, you know, he's trying to do right for himself and his family and his blood. Carrie says, tell us about the shirts and gear. I don't want to. I feel like I'm selling out. Yeah, of course I want to, but I don't really want to make that everything. Yeah. We're magicians. We don't wait for something to happen. We make it. Well, you know, sometimes we don't really feel like making something happen. Let's be honest. Sometimes we just want to chill out and just have a drink and watch the world float by, don't we? You know, in all sincerity, the thing that kind of is on my mind today isn't even the events of what's going on with the craziness on the other channels. It's the fact that of all the videos that I put out, that's like the most popular. It's slid in a #1 slot within a few hours and it stayed there. Now I get it. You guys support me and I'm not in any way disparaging that. You guys are freaking awesome for doing so. Especially those of you who are my regulars who come here and you're always on point. You make good comments, you ask good questions, you challenge me to answer things I might not always know the answer to. In fact, very often I have to look things up in my spare time, make sure I know what I'm talking about. But what kind of is sad is that the drama video had more clicks and views and interactions than the good videos. And that's not just for me. And I'm not trying to judge you guys. By no means is this a judgment on you guys, but it is a little sad to me. I know there's so much out there that is really, really important to your work, to study and to learn and to practice, that the little petty squabbles between me and someone else or someone else and someone else, those things are stupid. You know, they're kind of pointless and they're a waste of time. I know they're more fun. I know they're more interesting because sometimes once in a while something really fiery happens and it's going to be really exciting, but I don't want to make this a drama video, but you guys get my point. So let's talk about stuff. All right, let's see. Tara's saying nothing new going on with her. Everything's boring. Trust me, I think everybody's got, you know, what do they call it? COVID fatigue now. Everybody's kind of had enough of this. Like today, I just about, like I didn't lose it because I don't mind being alone, but I just about lost it. Like my blood pressure's going up because I'm not exercising as much as I should because there's nothing to do. And so like I feel it, like I'll start to exercise and I'll feel like a tightness in my neck, like shit, I got to get out and I can go running or something. You know, I'll probably die of like a heart attack or something in the next couple of years. People are going to think I got cursed. So, you know, there is that. But it's boring as all hell. I mean, you got a lot of people who want to get back to their life as normal, and not everyone can. I mean, we got to be serious. But, you know, I think there's some people that they have a legitimate concern. But I think the vast majority of people should be able to get out and do things and get back to normal, because if we don't, we don't want this to be the new normal, right? So let's see. Hayden said, hey man, something good came out of that stupid drama. I found your channel. And it's actually DH, but that's okay. I think that's right next to, yeah, DH and J are next to each other. I appreciate that, Aiden. There's no, don't worry about it. I'm not, honestly, the person in question from yesterday, that person, I still don't know, I guess they're named Raven or something. Their channel, their older stuff, I went through and watched some of the older stuff. They were on point. They knew what they were talking about. So I don't know about now, and I'm not here to talk shit about anybody. I want to let it go. But that's just how it is. You know, this is the internet, right? This is the internet, and people get nutty, and they gotta do what they gotta do. Let's see, custom made incense. Great question. Have you heard from the bird lately? I think it wasn't long ago that he must have got laid, because either that or he picked a different tree. But there's probably another video. You can probably hear him chirping in the background if you listen really closely. He's been at it for most of the spring. And for those of you who don't know, a few weeks ago, I put up a video, is it like come to my window or something like that, because it was like 3 in the morning. I'm trying to work or sleep. I couldn't pick. And I hear this bird, it's a nightingale or something, just going nuts outside my window. Like literally, he had to be like 40 feet from my window and the screen was open. So it was really, really, oh man, that was loud. Yeah, let's see. Chthonic Tonic points out very properly, behold the power. In this case, unintentional, clickbait. Drama gets the clicks. It does, guys. It does. Like I said, I'm not dissing on you guys. I'm not judging you guys for finding that to be the more important, you know, to come to that chat, to that video. But, you know, honestly, we should be here to talk about magic, about the gods, about non-duality, about everything that motivates you spiritually and gets you moving. Because, you know, honestly, these streams, they help me with that too. They give me things to talk about. Let's see. Let's work our way down through some more comments. Chthonic Tonic's working 55-hour weeks are not that fun either. And you know, of all people, because you're one of my buddies, you know that I know what that's like firsthand. And it's one thing when you're doing something you enjoy. I mean, I think you'd agree, Chthonic, brother. Chthonic, I guess how you like to say it. Doing something like this wouldn't be so bad 50 or 60 hours a week. It's when you gotta, you know, have a boss that's a jerk that it sucks. And even when your boss is nice, it's not fun. Yeah. Let's see. I really wish I could, like, I know I can pop this out, but it doesn't really make it bigger when I do. Yeah, we'll just leave it the way it is. All right, let's see. Come to my window. Jacob Dow asks, hey, DH Thorne, any plans for a Balg submission or any other literary works? All right, let's see. How do I put this? Currently, my relationship with that part of the world is mainly with Coetting himself. I don't really have any connections to the rest of it. Coetting and I began talking, and I found him to be a kindred spirit in a lot of ways. And he and I have a lot of things in common. We have a lot of energies in common. We have a lot of interests in common. You know, he and I are almost like yin and yang, but we're like the same. And it's hard to explain. Like he's like the rock star version of me, I guess you could say. That's not true. That's a joke. But no, he's an interesting character, and I'm actually really enjoying getting to know him. So far, I mean, I reserve judgment on people. I don't like to judge people, and I reserve judgment. But so far, he's probably been, you know, one of the most noble people that I've worked with in passing. I mean, we've talked for, you know, probably close to 10 hours on live chat privately, and not counting that live stream we did. And never once did I feel like he was trying to sell me anything. Never once did he try to talk me into joining anything. Never once was it ever about anything. It was literally, listen, I see you here, you know, namaste. I see the divinity in you. and you see the divinity in me. And we just talked about everything magical and spirituality. We talked about the community. We talked about what it's like to be self-employed in this industry. We talked about, I mean, honestly, I kind of wish these live chats, I wish they were live chats. I wish that he and I could have these chats openly. But obviously there's things in there that neither of us necessarily want shared with the world. But just something like that, we had some really good conversations. And, you know, I know a lot is said about him either way, and he won't deny any of it. And that's what I love about him. He will tell you, yes, I do this. Yes, I've done that. Yes, I've got this problem. Yes, I've got that problem. Here I am, love me or leave me. And honestly, I appreciate that. You know, and I'm not saying the guy has no secrets. I'm not saying the guy doesn't do things that maybe I wouldn't do, but that's okay. Like, we don't have to be the same person to enjoy each other's company, to get value out of each other, and to share things that are valuable. If people have a problem with him, and then they don't like me because I happen to like the guy, they're not for me. They don't need my work. My work won't matter to them. They're already closed up in their own little filthy little world that is polluted with their own bullshit dogmas that I don't need to worry about. That doesn't mean that we don't get to have preferences or anything like that, but I like the guy so far. And, you know, maybe it won't last. Maybe everyone's warnings that, you know, have floated around about him, whatever. But honestly, I think he's an awesome guy. And I'm really happy to be getting to know him in that way. So I really enjoy working with him privately when I can. You know, like I said, everybody's different, so that may change someday, but right now, you know, he and I feel like we could hang out. Let's see. So people keep asking about the background. Oh, let me answer your question, Jacob. So no, I don't have anything actually planned at this moment to submit to Bog. If I do, it would be either upon request or it would be something that I'm really into. I'm not here to swing from anybody else's nuts. I'm not here to do that. Like I said, I'm a friend to anyone in the community that keeps their nose clean out. I mean, I'm not to say nobody has their nose clean at all. I'm not saying that you have to be squeaky clean, but I'm here to work with people who are professional, share my work with people. You see, I bring people on here all the time who nobody's heard of, or, you know, a few years ago they were bigger than me, or now they're bigger than me still, or whatever. I don't have any kind of ambitions to climb on the backs of anybody else. It's zero interest in that regard. But sharing, of course, cross-pollinating, be friendly with people, I see that as the way it should be. And all this other crap where people are shitting on each other and tearing people down and trying, I'm going to expose this person as a fraud. Expose this, you know, in Long Island speak. Expose this, motherfucker. But yeah, no, thank you very much. I think no. I think he, you know, it's possible that there would be a submission in the future. You know, he and I have various projects in common. There's definitely things that will probably come up, but you know, that doesn't mean that it'll happen. It may or may not, and it's not necessary. So, all right, there we go. I hope no neighbor shot the bird. Don't worry, the bird's fine. So Lolan ends. I always do this to you, brother, and you know I always say sorry. Lolan Asin says cool background, and yes, that is on my Teespring store along with some other stuff. Actually, you know what? Give me 2 seconds. Let me rip them out. Get this out of the way, so I don't feel the urge to do it again and again and again. Of course, they're buried under swords because I was planning on doing something with them and I never did because I'm lazy. So I have a whole bunch of these banners and tapestries. This is all wrinkled now because I haven't treated it with proper respect. But so this is one for if you're working with the Shadownomicon, you can actually use this as your gateway sigil. And I do have, yeah, this one's buried. Watch me fall off my chair and really be funny. Here we go. I also have, now this one is cool because you can actually get the large version of this and use it as a floor mat if you wanted, or you can use it as a tapestry for your ritual chamber, or use it as an altar cloth. So if you're interested, those are on my Teespring, along with t-shirts, along with posters, along with other stuff, the new artwork I've been doing, and all of that goes to support me. I prefer, you know, if you had a choice between Patreon and Teespring, choose Teespring. You know, get something for your hands, something you can own. Let's see. Wow, a lot of comments. All right, let me see. I'm going to miss some here. Let's see. Camilla, oh, sweetheart, you know you need a day off. I know you do. I really hope you can. The first day off we have together, we should just drive away from everything for like 3 days. So let's see. DH, tell me, what's your favorite book, the one you return to often? I'm not an avid occult reader at all. In fact, I don't read spiritual books much at all. In fact, a friend of mine, Brandon, bought me a book, and I got to like 30%, and I got to keep going. It's called A Deed Without a Name. That's an awesome book, by the way. Whoever wrote that, like, we could like hang out and like totally compare notes because it's a really good book. That I highly recommend. But in terms of just books that I return to, there's a couple of books that I've read many times and that I recommend everybody at least read once. Dune would probably be at the top of that list. At least the first 3 or 4 books by Frank Herbert in the series, but certainly at least Dune. He was on point about a lot of ascension type stuff. The guy knew a lot of philosophical, perhaps metaphysical concepts. Dune is a fantastic book for ascension and understanding some of the intricacies of the concept, but through a more perhaps rational lens, something like that. Michael Moorcock is another author that I return to all the time, whether it be Elric or my personal favorite book that he did was The Warhound and the World's Pain. It's, I think, bundled in a set that's just called Von Beck, V-O-N-B-E-K. And that's, if you like period fiction set in like the, maybe late Middle Ages, early Renaissance, with a very strong, Luciferian undertones, stuff like that. Cool ass book. Very cool ass book. Let's see. So just so you guys know, if you want me to comment or read it or answer it, it helps if it's in bold, but I can sort of see these. So let's see. Yeah, Aiden says most people that talk to quitting like him, but Boggs another story. I mean, I'm not here to, like I said, I don't play this game of I'm going to expose this or that and talk shit about other people that are professionals. People need to learn their own discernment and then follow what works for them. There's something that you have to understand. The spiritual forces that we work with will guide a fraudulent person to put out valid work because it helps people reach them. Work with King Zagan enough and you will understand some of this principle. King Zagan has been misunderstood, misidentified a few times as being a demon of just alchemy, but he's actually, in my identification process and experience, he is more aligned with not simply transmuting, like alchemy, but rather fraudulent activities, con artistry, and making people wise in the process. That's really, especially that wisdom angle, is really one of his greatest gifts and strengths. And one of the things that he told me flat out was that a lot of the people in the community absolutely are full of shit, but they're inspired. Just like all artists, just like all people. A con artist is a kind of artist, right? They're inspired often to do valid works. That doesn't mean they all are. There are some people that are just Fruit Loops and they just, they're just completely off. And I wouldn't trust them with even fake stuff. But there are some who, even in their errors, even in their lies, even in their attempt to just be a fraud and to be a charlatan, often they have to study these subjects quite intensely to do so. A lot of these people who you might think of as a fraud in Bog or some other group, they have to study these subjects, and some of them are very much more learned than I am. They would in a scholarly debate, they would run circles around me, the ones that you would call a fraud versus me, who you might think is not. And I often ask people, what is the difference to you between a fraud and an authentic practitioner? And obviously there is some obvious ways you can tell. I did a video about that not too long ago. But you have to understand there's always going to be an element of showmanship in what we do, because I'm not just a private practitioner. I'm a public practitioner and I'm a career professional in the matter. So that means I have to do stuff like this. I have to, evoke an intelligent speaking voice instead of, yo, what's up, everybody? I'm from Long Island. You gotta try this fucking demon right here, this motherfucker right here. He'll take you all the way, motherfucker. I can't talk like that, even though that's how half the people that I know might talk. So this is my real speaking voice, of course, but you get what I'm saying. So yes, this is my real practices you're seeing, and in a lot of cases, I put on a little extra showmanship because, let's be honest, I don't always set up a full, elaborate altar ritual. I don't think you should have to. I think at some point you reach a point where you can just meditate or think casually with these spirits because they're always there. The rituals themselves are a way to release pent-up magical intention. They're not required. If you study in history, you will find that a lot of people who did witchcraft and magic, sure, they did their rituals and things, but they were also, what was considered witchcraft was not always ritual. It was, they were talking to spirits in their sleep. You have to understand that magic is a way of life. It's not a set of rituals. And so there's a lot of things which can be faked, including rituals, but there's a lot of things that can't be, and a lot of that is the gnosis that it achieves, the understandings that it achieves. So even if some of these people are fraudulent, the question is, are they truly fraudulent, or are they just exaggerating what they do, or are they just misleading you for money? And if they're doing so, if they're doing legitimate research to create a product that you'll buy, that won't get utterly destroyed by people who know better, maybe go easy on them. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you have some discernment and you go where you believe the authenticity is. More importantly, focus on your own practices. Focus on where do you think we all come from, these people who are doing this professionally? Do you think that we just, plopped out into the universe fully formed? No. We made mistakes. We had to learn. We had to do these things the hard way. But for the most part, we had to develop our own gnosis. We had to develop our own experiences with these beings, with these forces, with the things that we study. And if I seem more advanced or more authentic, it's probably just because I'm new, and give me like 6 years and I'm bored of doing this and I have to create another book, and maybe I'm not as, working hard on it, and I'm just trying to get it done, and who knows what'll happen. I can't say, I'm not God, I'm not Jesus, I ain't one of these kind of characters. In fact, there was a video or a post I was going to do a while ago that was going to be, don't put me on a fucking pedestal because I will kick the damn thing out from under me and land on top of you as hard as I can. Don't fucking do that. Don't put people on pedestals. And I'll tell you one reason why. You might think I'm being humble when I say that. The reality is, when you put somebody on a pedestal, you think you own them. And when they don't live up to your standards that put them on that pedestal, suddenly you've got to talk shit about them. Suddenly they're not good enough. It goes along with that saying, never, ever meet your guru. Never, ever meet your guru. Because you will always be disappointed. So let's scroll down a little bit here. Blah, 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 blah. Man, I miss so much. Let's see. Behemoth X, brother, what's going on, dude? Behemoth X, as always, I love your stuff. Everybody knows it. You are an inspiration, especially. So, I mean, I haven't been able to watch so much of your stuff lately, but I love all your work every time I see it. Man, I missed a lot of comments. Give me a second, guys. Give me a second here. Yeah, Behemoth, definitely stay out of that drama. Oh, God. Territory exposed these. Exactly. Joyzy girls get that Long Island kind of, you get it. Exposed these. Yeah, Behemoth, stay out of that drama. I do too. I mean, honestly, I respond when I have to set the record straight, and I really don't intend on responding again. If people don't like my work and they want to shoot it full of holes and make videos about me, hopefully my ego lets me ignore it. Let's be honest. Any human being, when someone's talking massive amounts of shit about you, it can be difficult to ignore. Let's be honest, okay? There's a lot of people who will say, oh, you're triggered. You're so easily triggered. Get up in front of an audience every day and, suddenly have someone out of left field just start talking shit about you. Yes, once in a while you're going to respond. It's impossible not to. But hopefully I will stay professional in that regard. Get out of that drama. He's too lazy for drama, Behemoth says. I agree with you. I'm in the same way. But it also, you know what it is? Like, I'll feel the clenching in the throat. Like, let's see. Jennifer says, I'm too old for this. Yeah, I get it. Let's see. I'm skipping around a little bit, guys. I want to comment on questions if possible. Let's see. People saying they love Dune. Dune, you know, again, Dune is, it just is. Yeah, Amy K, thank you, sister. What's up? She's one of my friends on Patreon and stuff too. The first 3 books in the Dune series were life-changing for me, as odd as that may sound. Why would that? That's not odd, sister. That is. I don't know a lot of intellectuals who can read or even watch the Goofy movie. That movie was goofy, but it had some really cool cinematography, right? I don't know anybody who, with any kind of an intellect above, you know, average or around average or above, can't enjoy that and not be changed by it. I mean, it's so deep, it's so remarkable. Even the hidden meanings of it are so useful. They're so interesting. They tell you so much. Some of the hidden stuff. And one day, you know, there's a lot. I think who's doing it right now? Geek and Sundry or Nerdist or something. Somebody's doing and there's this other chick that I always like watching, Comic Book Girl or whatever her name is, that did some you know, read-alongs with Dune. It was like a book club where she can't read it or they can't read it because it's still not in the public domain, but like every week they get together and discuss it for an hour and a half, and good stuff. So Aiden666 asks, hey DH, do you know of any ancient or medieval grimoires that are fully black magic and don't have too much of that dogma like binding spirit? No. Now, to be fair, as I've said, I am not the most well-read occultist there is. In some ways that maybe precludes me from calling myself that, but I think I am, because occultism means what's hidden, and there's a lot of things hidden in plain sight. You don't need to read books to find it. But no, I haven't really read anything that I would classify in that vein. I'm not even really convinced that those books that we get from the medieval times are all that authentic either. I think a lot of them were written, or at least partially obfuscated, by charlatans and things like that. Maybe they came from collections that had validity, but that doesn't mean that they're valid. Now, the interesting thing is, like I said to you earlier, charlatans can be inspired by real spiritual forces and intentions. They can be inspired to create things. And even if those things were not 100% valid, take, for example, you know, Baal, Bahadad, and you work with that spirit, well, that's Baal in the Goetia, right? Supposedly. Well, it is. It certainly is. And it's completely wrong in the Goetia, but yet, because of the name, we all know who it's supposed to be. And because of this, people work with the spirit. But in other cases, there are some entities in there which I believe are egregoric. They were literally created by the authors of the Goetia, if that makes sense. Then you have to remember, and I've said this many, many times, and sometimes to the point where I forget how I say it, you know, the Goetia took the Rolodex of spirits from another person, Johann Weyer, I believe his name was, who created Pseudomorphica Demonium, and this was all part of a work that was meant to, you know, discredit the witch hunters of the time and show that these were mental illnesses and not actually spirits. So someone took that catalog of spirits and some other things, and they kind of threw it all together in a big salad and said, here's a Solomonic book of magic based on demons, and that's what you got. Yet, here we are working with it, and it works for a lot of us. Now, I'm not saying every single spirit has answered my call and my pleas and my requests for conversation, but so far the vast majority of them have, and I have identified either who they might have been or who they are to me. And that latter bit, I think, is really important. I think it's something that's lost to some people. In fact, let me go on a tangent here. One of the things that's beautiful about the left-hand path above all other spiritual traditions currently is the fact that, like chaos magic, it is blessedly free of religious dogma. And what I mean by that, now don't misunderstand me, because I'm going to say, that's wrong, Thorne, this is all Christian-based. I know what you're saying. What I'm saying is that the individual who practices this is free to interpret it as they wish without an overarching religion telling them what it must mean. This is pure and true spirituality. This is what real metaphysics looks like. This is what real seeking looks like. When you go into a Buddhist tradition or a Hindu tradition or a Christian tradition or Zoroastrian or any other tradition, they have a very set religious dogma that must be walked. And there's infinite sects almost. There's infinite, and when I say sex, it's not S-E-X, you perverts, it's S-E-C-T-S. They have an infinite number of possible iterations, perhaps, but they're still within this limited little framework of this is enlightenment, this is not, this is what the Buddha said, this is not. This kind of stuff is stifling to true spiritual seeking. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't perhaps a more accurate or a more effective method, but even in Buddhism, there's the saying there's Buddhist ways for Buddhists and there's non-Buddhist ways, but all of them will lead eventually to nirvana and enlightenment, and we're all the Buddha basically, right? That's just the Buddhist position. So we have to understand that the left-hand path, one of the things that makes it beautiful is that instead of everyone going, well, Coetting says that Azazel is like this, and so therefore if you see it any other way, you didn't work with Azazel. No, most people in the left-hand path recognize that these spirits come to us as they wish, as we need them to come to us, so that we can have the most fulfilling and meaningful experience possible. It is not meant ever, and to hell with these people in the non-good way. Damn these people, fuck these people who try to tell you who these spirits really are and have to be, and put them in their little boxes so that they can put them on pedestals and control them. Fuck you. I will always resist you. I will always stand against you. And I will always just keep putting out permission from me personally to work with those spirits as you need to work with them. Now, it doesn't mean that there are no limits. It's just work with the basics, work with the basic principles behind them, and allow them to come to you and fill you with their knowledge. Allow them to teach you who they are in relationship to you. When you've done this, you will start having gnosis that will blow your mind. Otherwise, you're just chasing after shadows that someone else is casting. Fuck that. Make your own. All right, moving on. Let's see. Tonic, my brother. I will never say that right. That's one of those things. I think it's Tanic. DH, what's your stance on pop culture occultism, i.e. once control mechanisms are discarded, esoteric knowledge and ancient entities find new... Yes, the expression through fictional... So all of what you said, I agree with, that in a very real way, a lot of these ancient entities, these ancient egregores, gods, whatever you want to call them, will manifest through pop culture. And they will manifest through inspiration in pop culture. They will manifest through, I've said it before and I'll say it 100,000 times. I mean, look at the movie Legend with darkness, and you've basically got, of course, the amalgamation of a Satan, of a Lucifer, but not a Lucifer, of a thing. Well, it's actually most closely inspired by Baal, because it's the bullheaded, God of, when he roars, it's thunder, for crying out loud, short of the lightning bolts, it's all of that stuff. So there's so much stuff that is inspired by the spirit world, and of course by history, let's be honest. People look up mythology and that inspires them to create future characters. That is the non-metaphysical aspect of what's happening. That is the material, that is the very base material version of what's happening, but there's a spiritual component that is leading that inspiration where it's going. That is absolutely true. But otherwise, on another spectrum is also this idea that believed entities are believed entities. They become egregores, whether people want them to be or not. And you can have them become powerful beings in their own right. This is one of the somewhat valid explanations for the Lovecraftian entities, is that over time enough people have worked with them, believed in them, experienced them in their dreams and nightmares and fantasies, that something real was created and is empowered every time people get into it. I would also suggest, in my own experience with the Lovecraftian currents, that a lot of the things Lovecraft experienced was his own, I don't want to say demented in a bad way because I think they're awesome, but his own demented versions of ideas that were maybe from other cultures. Remember, he was paranoid and xenophobic about other cultures almost until the day he died. He said some really horribly racist things that for his time even would have been considered kind of racist. And when he died, I believe before that, he recanted a lot of that. So we don't get to know him a lot. We don't really realize how actually abused he was, how tortured he was by his mother and his family and everything he had growing up. So his views on things were colored with this kind of paranoia and fear and xenophobic attitude, to the point where the unknown was terrifying to him. And he probably observed all these other cultures and their religions and their myths a little bit, and being heavily into the sciences, believing that all of these things were bunk, he created these horrible, terrifying masks that a lot of these mythologies could wear so they could become scary monsters again. And there was some value in that, in all honesty. That fear leads to a certain level of respect, I suppose. But it is also very much an egregore for the unknown, for the unknowable, for the void, for things, the spaces in between, the abyss. So a lot of his work, in fiction, when extrapolated to occultism, actually has value. It has a lot of value. The Haunter in the Dark is a great example. That is an example of a being that I believe is perhaps inspired at least partially by whatever it is that inspires the Shadow Current. And there's just a lot there. There's a lot there if you look for it. And that's probably the best example. But I've known people who, they have invoked like the DC version of gods, like the, and the Marvel version of gods. People have worked with that version of Thor, and it seems to work for them. And some people have even probably conjured Batman, and it's worked for them, because what's ultimately happening is, what you have to understand from the non-dualistic source consciousness perspective is that all of these supposedly external entities are also you. They are higher forms of yourself. And when we say higher, again, I don't mean separate. I mean a different part of you, okay? So King Baal is you, and you are them. And in the same capacity that an old Christian or Jewish person would say that we are all God, and vice versa, in a very similar way, So look this stuff up and understand that they don't have to be external spooky ghosts that are floating around in space somewhere for them to be real. They can be both internal and external and have equal value. They can be both at the same time, just like everything else is. If you understand your experience clearly, you understand that even I am both an internal and an external experience for you. You experience me in an internal way. What I am is unlike anything else in the universe except where it is in your head. So in other words, when you're experiencing me on this video, you're experiencing it in your own internal world in a very unique way. No one else will ever see it the way you do. And so therefore, in that sense, I exist within you in a very different way than I exist without you. However, what exists without you is what's inspiring what's within you. So we're connected. There is a sameness there. There's an influence there. And by reciprocity, when you comment on these things, I interpret what you're saying, and there's a feedback loop that happens, and then we get the objective universe that we experience. But we'll go through. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. Yeah, Behemoth says, pretty much everyone in Balg are my friends, and I know they are true to their craft. Honestly, Behemoth, just from your endorsement alone, because I trust you a lot in a lot of ways, you're a good guy. But I have not really spoken to too many people at Balg, except for Quetting, obviously. But the people that I have spoken to, I've never had a bad experience with them. And they always know their stuff pretty good. There's some newer people like Solomon. I don't know if he's part of Balg, but he's hanging out with JD and Orly a lot. Solomon's a cool fucking guy, man. I've talked to him privately a few times, and because of certain dramas, we weren't allowed to work together for a few times there. But I respect the guy. He posts on my channel all the time and on my Facebook group all the time, and I respect everything he does. Oh my goodness, guys. You guys are commenting so fast. Thank you, Steroid. Thank you, brother. Voided asked a question. I have a weird question, maybe dumb, but have you or anyone else here ever performed a ritual that had a pet interrupt it, like a cat walking through? Do you think this has any implications? I've got a video, which I don't show to people, where I was doing a ritual for someone and I had to stop right in the beginning. My mood was off, for one thing. I kept getting these little impressions in the back of my head. This is not the right thing for this person. You're doing it wrong. You're not in the right mood. This is not the right time. And I tried to proceed with the ritual anyway. I got cocky. I got not arrogant cocky, but I got I got to make money. I got to do this ritual. This person paid me for it. I don't want to not do it for them. I got to try to do it. And this was against my own better judgment. This was a mistake that I was making. And when I was doing this, I was having all these problems, and I was setting things up, and this one sigil in particular kept falling on the ground over and over and over again, no matter what I did, kept landing on the ground. And finally, it was kind of like getting hit over the head over and over and over again until you finally, take it seriously. That's kind of what happened. I eventually said, yeah, I can't do this right now. But does that mean your cat walking through your ritual is a bad thing or good thing? Like any omen or synchronistic event, you are the one who decides what it means ultimately. There are no, or not many, things that are black and white in spiritual practice. This is why a seer or a sage or someone who communed with the spirits was an interpreter and a medium rather than a truth, like a law bringer necessarily. I'm sure there's cultures that did it that way. But the ones that I respect anyway, the person who was the sage, the shaman, the whatever of the tribe, of the group, of the town, they were more of, they would help you piece together what the meaning was. They wouldn't tell you what it means. They would ask you questions. They would tell you what they mean perhaps in a cultural perspective. They would say what the gods usually mean when they do these things, but they would always, hopefully, allow you ultimately to be the one that makes that decision. Now, I know that's not true, obviously. I'm kind of giving them a rosy glasses kind of tint. I'm sure there's a lot of people who manipulated people with this, of course. But in my interpretation of things, my job is not to tell you what they mean, but to maybe ask you better questions, or to give you an idea of where to look for your answers, to give you what I think it would mean if it was me. But ultimately, you are the one. You have to have discernment. This is a thing that is withheld from you in other religions. Any cult is going to tell you what to think. And of course, I'm telling you what to think right now, but you understand what I'm saying. Any other cult is going to tell you what to think, whereas I'm going to tell you what to ask. I'm going to tell you how to think for yourself, hopefully. Now, that's not for everybody. Some people are just dumb. Some people need to be told. I mean, let's be honest. Not everyone is meant to be a king. Not everyone's meant to be a shepherd. Some people have to be told what to do. It's just kids, kids, you have to teach kids what to do. But within reason, the average person can think for themselves, and they need to learn to do that again. We've lost that. I guess maybe we never had it. Lucifer's told me that humanity, one of the interesting things about humanity is that we really love to be enslaved. We love it. It's part of our DNA, in fact. It's part of how we are as primates. We need to have a pecking order in which we have these, what do you want to call them, betas or whatever. You have some people who necessarily have to serve a leader. And then there has to be a leader who has to tell everybody what to do. And then there has to be this and that. I have found that when I'm a leader in anything, because you're not always a leader, an alpha can be a beta in different situations and so on, if we're going by that. But as a leader, my job is to both give people what they want and then to inspire them to want what I'm giving them at the same time. I need to inspire you to understand something. So rather than rule with an iron fist and say, this is how it is, you must do it my way, or else I will fire you, I will throw you out of my kingdom. If I'm doing my job effectively, then I'm inspiring people to follow a dream that is a lot like the one that I have, and hopefully the dream that I have is one that I perceive people needing, people wanting, that is for the best of those who would follow me. Now, as a Luciferian, I'm not looking for followers, but I am looking to inspire people to walk a very similar path as me. To me, it's a subtle but meaningful difference. So, by that token, I'm not here to tell you what the cat walking across your ritual means. I'm just here to tell you this is what it could mean. And me personally, if you feel like it was an interruption that was meaningful, meditate on that. Really try to get to the core of it. What makes you think that? Why do you feel like it was an interruption versus a blessing? Maybe the cat was the spirit showing up and saying, hey, I like this altar. Think about it. So I'm going to do it again, even though he just told me Lolan Azin. Azin. Okay, that's a little easier. I'm going to screw it up again next time, but at least you told me, and you get to say, I told you, dude, I told you. So why is Baal or Baal rising now? At least a half dozen top sorcerers are doing rituals now, and I feel the great God's power rising. Well, I mean, if for no other reason, Balg is covering it big time. Balg's pushing a book this year for that. And so, of course, everybody's, why not? Why not take part in that rising power? You know what I mean? So this is why a lot of us are doing that. And it's also because it's a highly searched term. And so people, it's a good thing to jump on the bandwagon with. It just is. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. There's rising energy. Just like on Halloween or Samhain or whatever you want to call it, whether you believe in it or it bothers you or not, there's a lot of people out there with an open third eye at that time. They're all into interesting, spooky horror stuff. Great time to jump on that bandwagon and use it. Great time to put out horror movies. Great time to use a horror movie for inspiration for people. Great time to jump on those things and use them. Part of being a sorcerer or a magician is not to fight the flow, but to essentially go with it, but steer your boat or your surfboard or whatever into getting something you want or being someplace fulfilling for yourself. So if it is Baal season, then by all means, by all means, I'm so corny right now. It's like a total dad joke. If it's Baal season, then by all means, utilize that rising energy in your rituals and in your work and in your public outreach, and absolutely use that. There should be no hesitation if that's interesting to you. Oh boy, I skipped a lot. Oh boy. I'm gonna have to turn this chat down to like half speed soon. There must be a lot of people in here. I didn't check my, yeah, 52, that's a lot of people. What's up, 52 people? All right, let's go here. All right, I lost my place, guys. I apologize. Do me a favor, if you want me to comment on what you're saying, so when you say DH, what's this, DH, please put it in bold, or of course, there's always super chats, no pushing, but put it in bold. It makes it easier for me to read it when you got a lot of people chatting in here. So, let me see if I can find where I left off. Since I've been ranting, I'm gonna have to start cutting through. Johan, brother, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate it, man. Johan's one of my awesome friends that this guy, Johan Josef van, I don't know, that's not his real name, obviously, but Johan, brother, he's got a lot of, he's one of these people I talk to regularly. He's one of my patrons. This guy knows so many things. He's been in the occult community in his own way for a long time, and he's a very wise soul, and he listens very well, and he asks really good questions when you get him in a private conversation. All right, I think I caught up. Let's see. Behemoth. So forgive me, guys, for reading slow here. This is really small. Apparently people are saying hi to EA Coetting, but I don't see him here. Maybe he is. Oh, there, Eric Coetting. Actually, I'm here, and I appreciate your sense of honor, Behemoth X. Assuming that's the actual EA, brother, I'm really happy. Yeah, that looks like you. What's up, brother? How's it going, man? I love seeing you here. This is awesome. What's up, man? I'm gonna assume that's the real EA Coetting. He's using his other channel. What's up, my friend? Like I've been telling people, man, talking to EA has been, it's awesome, to be honest with you. He's a swell guy. I mean, look, people just want to hate one another. I'm not saying that people never do anything that might bother other people, but nah, ever since I've started talking to EA, I'm a believer in this. He's a genuine soul. I do like him a lot. Our private conversations has been really awesome. Let's see. Hope I'm not rubbing my microphone. You guys hate it when I rub my microphone? Leave me a comment. Steroid Maximus asks, ever write any fiction you consider putting out there? Absolutely. The problem is, maybe I have like a little bit of ADD, and when I start writing fiction, like I want to write Dune, and I end up writing Asimov short stories instead. And I never feel like they're complete enough to put out. But I do believe that time will come, and I will absolutely start putting out fiction once I feel that I am from, let's put it this way, let's pretend my economic root chakra was completely centered and balanced, and I don't have to worry about wasting time on doing a project that's not for profit. Bet your ass there's going to be some fiction that comes out of me at some point. It's just getting it to be focused, I guess is the right word. So let me scroll here. I'm going to have to skip ahead a little bit because I see things popping up. So Eric just sent me, thank you, brother. Thank you, EA. Thank you so much for your love and support, man. I mean, whenever I talk to you, I feel inspired. When I'm done, I feel utterly, how do I put it? I feel just like I got to talk to somebody who was on a similar wavelength, and we got it, and it was just so easy to talk to you. Nothing is held back at all. Like, we just talk. Like, I feel like you're a friend that I haven't seen in 20 years, and you come over and we hang out. We have a couple of beers, although I don't really drink around you, so I don't know. But maybe I would. And we just hang out and we just talk, and it's just awesome. And you have so much experience and knowledge in this community that, you know, watching how you have been working with people inspired me. And anybody who watches me will probably, and watches both of us, will probably see that as I've progressed, I have probably picked up some of your mannerisms, your interests, your ways of handling people. And, you know, I don't know if that's intentional or not, but, you know, let people talk shit, man. You're doing something that is helping so many people achieve their dreams and magic that, what can I say? What can I say except thank you for being here, doing what you do. And anybody who's watching my stuff and you don't know Behemoth X, EA Coetting, Solomon AD, so many of these people that are coming, Carrie Darkstar, if you don't know these people, please go look up their channels right now, please. And you can even stop watching me, I give you permission, and go sub to them, please, right away. Because some of you guys are absolutely the bomb. I mean, I'm at a loss for words. I'm going to be honest with you. Let me see if I can catch this stuff here. There's so many people chatting today. If I had known it was going to be this busy, is there a way for me to set it to like slow? I don't know if there's a way to set it slow. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just leave it. Enable. So I'm going to, guys, forgive me. I'm going to enable slow mode a little bit, and I'm going to put it, you know what? Nobody's really doing it that much. Never mind. I'll leave it alone. Yeah, I'll leave it alone. Okay. Brent, I'm going to say that wrong. We're just going to say Brent. Szynski, that's what I would say, but I'm probably wrong. Some trickster magic involves telling people exactly what not to do, so earthly backslide extrudable partially occulted material can exist. Partial revelation of depositables can happen. Now, let's, in that salad, what I'm gleaning from what you're saying is that what you're talking about, a skillful method, which is called upaya in Eastern traditions. This is teaching people by challenging them or giving them wrong information so that they will find the right information through the process of correcting it or working with it. There's an old saying, a person who beats their head against the wall will, become wise, right? A fool who continues in his folly will become wise. So if a spirit's leading you on a wild goose chase of gnosis and information and study and work, you can still become wise from that, right? You can still become exactly what you wish to be through it. And that's such a powerful gift that spirits can give to us that, how many people, let's put it this way. This is going to ruffle some feathers. What if I told you that a lot of people who were Christians precisely so that they could learn to rebel against it? They're not victims of Christianity. They are there because they needed that. That's all I'm saying. That's the kind of thing we're talking about. Chaos Magicians, okay, Eric says, Chaos Magicians have done very impressive experiments with Disney princesses as goddess archetypes. Yes, no question about that. They are definitely, that has inspired like so much power for them. They own the word princess, don't they, practically? And they've used that to inspire people with that archetype so much. I think we need some prince and king archetypes now, but yeah, absolutely. Okay. Brent says, "Hail, cult leader D.H. Thorne. I crave illumination from the dark world." I'm pretty sure that's a form of sarcasm, but I do appreciate it. Let's see. Oh my goodness, you guys. How am I going to keep up with all this? Let me scroll up. I'm losing you. I'm gonna have to get like an expert. You know, there's this one channel that I like to watch. I'm gonna like, you know, sort of almost dog whistle here by saying this, but I do like watching Rageaholic, and he has like these live streams for like video games, and he has his friend read the chat and keep track of the chat for him, so he can just ramble. Okay. Oops. The question. B. Lovering says, "What usefulness in this time of the pandemic, what have you been able to determine from the energies? What have you noticed at the edges of your conjurations?" Okay, so you're asking about the current pandemic situation and all of that stuff that is going on. That is a big topic that I do cover frequently. And I think people are kind of tired of it a little bit, but it's a valid question and I do want to answer it. What's going on right now is, well, if you watch my Pied Piper video, that's what you're seeing going on right now. You're watching the Hegelian dialectic in full motion. You're watching a situation where, yes, there is a very valid illness out there that is causing some problems, we'll say. I don't want to downplay it or overplay it. It is a danger, especially to certain people. So if the YouTube monsters that watch these things and decide to censor me because of my commentary, make sure you understand that my official stance is it's a dangerous situation and you should take all reasonable precautions. However, just like 9/11, just like every other tragedy that's ever happened, whether it be real or engineered, the powers that be will always try to use this to cause people to give up rights, give them money, to do the things that they want as public policy. And right now we are seeing what I would call a kind of, you know, hidden Cold War between the elite factions going on, where you have one side that's trying to undermine the country and the world by keeping everyone on lockdown and petrified of a virus that is technically a problem, but they're overdoing it. And then you have another side that's going to end up knee-jerking too hard the other way, perhaps. We got to be careful. And they're going to maybe go the other way too far. But what you're actually really seeing is an attempt to divide and conquer the human race along various party lines and ideologies once again, so that none of us can be free, because we're going to have to pick a side sooner or later in order to just survive. So be aware of that and work against that. If you're really interested in what you can do, work against the divide and conquer nature of what's going on. Every time you see stupid little divisive bullshit popping up, try to be a peacemaker, try to be a bridge builder. Even as a left-hand path, what does the left-hand path often do? It goes against the grain in a way that is useful. It is that useful, skillful method of teaching people. We say the wrong things sometimes to teach people the right things, and we don't deny it. We don't hide from that. Let's see. Let me scroll. I think I caught up. Can I get some applause, please? I just caught up. Yeah, Coetting, brother. Please, I want to talk to you again soon, man, because like you and I have like, again, cut from the same cloth in so many fucking ways. Once the government takes power, they don't fucking give it back without a war. In every fucking case, you'll get like little drips and grabs back, maybe, if you're lucky. Let me give you a perfect example of how the government works. You ready for this? Look at gas prices. Look at your gas prices. Look at what they do. What do gas prices do? What do gas prices do? They go up to like $4 a gallon sometimes, and then they settle back down to $3, Then they'll go to $3.80, and then it'll be $3.10. It's this incremental stuff that they do to people. And it's not just incrementalism. It's worse than that. It's kind of like a constrictor snake, or I don't know how many of you guys are blue collar, but those straps that they have to like the load bearing straps where you click them and they go clank, 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 and the more you crank them, the tighter they get until you hit a button and then it'll release. It's the same thing. They will get you through fear of whatever, economic problems, viruses, terrorists, gun owners, drug addicts, whatever they can scare you, minorities. I mean, come on, that was the big thing for hundreds of years. They'll get you to be terrified of one another or your freedom, and they will ratchet down your freedom a little bit more every time. And yeah, they might loosen up when the crisis is over, but it's always a little bit more strict than it was before, always. And it inevitably leads towards this cliff where the society either has to become completely authoritarian and become completely downtrodden, or they have to take back their freedom. You know, a wise man once said the tree of liberty once in a while has to be watered by the blood of patriots and tyrants. Now, whether that is necessary right now, you know, I'm not going to say, because we live in a very censorious society. But it is my personal opinion that some of us, we are not the kneeling type. We are not the bowing type. We are not the scraping type. And if you see us doing that, if you see someone like me going, yes, master, anything you say, master, that's probably because I'm boarding people at my house that are fighting back, or because I have, you know, a knife in my back pocket and I'm ready to use it. So you will never see me legitimately, truly kneeling. You will always see me with my middle fingers up high. You know, raise the irons, as they would say. Deep inside, if you could see what's going on inside. Chthonic Tonic. Applause! Yes, applause, please. I presume that was because of what I said before, but if not, I'm glad that you appreciate my point there. Thank you so much, man. You're such a good, you know, some of you guys really support me so much, and if I could cry, I would. I burned out my tear ducts doing too many rituals. That's a joke. Josh Allen, what's up, brother? I didn't see you there. I should have noticed you there with your really bright coat and hat on. Josh Allen, guys, for those of you who don't know, Josh Allen is an exceptional Taoist weather magician. And I've watched his channel for a bit. Very colorful, very informative. If you want to know things about Taoist weather magic or Taoist magic in general, you know, one of the few guys that I would go to watch that I don't need a translator for, to be honest, would be Josh. Awesome guy. All right, let's see. Let me scroll along here. Steroid Maximus says, war is coming, and it's going to be fought over people not being able to eat a meal without giving their ID at Applebee's. If it comes to that war, it's already too late. The elites want us to be at war with each other. Do you know what happens if America enters an actual civil war? Now, there's a lot of people who would be like, I'm a patriot, we'll win, the military will jump on our side, and we'll take over, and we'll kick out the bad guys, or we'll have a revolution, and we'll turn it into, you know, a socialist country or a communist country, whatever. Whatever side you think you're on, whether you think it's justified or not, let's play a game of let's pretend for a moment, and let's actually be a strategist in the grand game. What happens if America enters into a civil war? What do you think is going to happen? It's not going to matter which side wins, because America will have lost its position in the world. The elite that rule things, sort of, as they do right now, will be able to solidify their control over the rest of the world, absent an American hegemony. China will take over that spot, and you will suddenly see that American influence goes down the shitter, and then everybody we've pissed off will suddenly have a way to, you know, come down on us in their own way. What you're looking at is an effort to cause our society to collapse, preferably within some kind of a, doesn't have to be war, doesn't have to be war at all. You just have to keep America divided long enough so that people are, you know, throwing, you know, cement-filled milkshakes at people for wearing red hats, or for calling people snowflakes long enough, for trying to be free, or whatever the fuck it is. You keep doing that long enough, people will not come together and ever stand together against anything that oppresses them. They will stand against each other. The thing that pisses off the governments, the elite, more than anything is when we all come together and agree on anything. Now, Chthonic Tonic, I love this guy. He and I disagree all the damn time. Sometimes, you know, we can't do it in public because it gets ugly. But I respect the shit out of him because he listens to the other side. And he doesn't judge me because it's different. And vice versa. It's just a difference. Now, some differences are existential. If you tell me, Thorne, I want to deprive you of your freedom of speech or your guns or something else, or I want to reinstitute slavery or whatever the fuck, well, that's an existential threat. At that point, I don't have to be your friend. I can tell you off and say, no, you can't have my guns, fuck off. We don't get to be friends, because I know what that means. I know it's going to mean that you're going to end up having to put me in jail or kill me to take them. So No, we cannot work that out. It's not going to work out that easily. We should, of course, stay friends so I can try to change your mind, but it's an existential at that point. And I'm not saying we should be divided, but I think you understand what I'm saying. There is a difference. So all I'm saying is if it gets to war, if it gets to that point where people can't get food without an ID at Applebee's, it's too late. If you let it get that far, if you're not already ready to protest and change and do things and speak out and just say no, the power of no is incredibly powerful. It's the most powerful command you can give because it truly exerts your authority as a divine being to have control over your environment. Yes is a different story. You can say yes to anything. When you say no and mean it, even if someone tries to run roughshod over you, you've already made your stand. It's the most powerful thing you can do. I would rather burn at the stake saying no. What's that? The Salem witch trials, the old guy, 81, they're throwing rocks on him. He says, more weight. I want to be that guy. That's the guy I want to be. Let's see. Let me scroll a little bit here. Hope I'm not skipping anybody too much. People are already getting fed up. Yeah, steroid, they frickin' are. I mean, nothing should be an abrupt thing. I mean, as much as I'm saying what I'm saying, I'm not trying to be irrational about it. I'm not saying, a lot of people that paint, when someone says, I want the lockdowns to end, they immediately paint them as being extremists in some way. I want it to be rational. I want people to, if there's a danger in your community, you got, an old folks home that everybody's dropping like flies because it's spreading around, slow it down. But that's not like, bumblefuck Idaho. That's New York City, Miami maybe, or something like that. And even that, it wasn't about stopping it. It's about slowing it down. You're not going to stop it. Aaron Phillip, DH, I'm just a newbie, just 1 year in experience in my magical practices, but at least 80% of my rituals are successful, even though I have mastered meditation. I haven't mastered meditation. Why is that? Okay, so let me highlight your thing so I can come back to it. And I see somebody gave me a nice little Patreon donation. Let me scroll down to that just so I can see that. Okay, we'll come to that in a minute. All right, so Aaron, meditation is important for your ability to integrate your higher self. And when I say meditation, I don't just mean being able to do mantras. I mean clearing your mind and entering a no-mind state so that there is less distraction and poison thoughts getting in the way. It's not that thoughts are bad, it's just that when we identify with our thoughts and not our true self, the thing between the thoughts, the awareness behind it all, when we identify with the thoughts and not the awareness that is part of the experience itself, then we get into trouble. You can still have ritual manifest for you because the reason you're doing your rituals is because your higher self is invoking. Remember, your higher self is you, okay? It's just you forget that. So when you're doing your rituals, you're almost always doing them for a reason. The question is why? If you're doing your rituals because there's an outcome that is meant to happen, because your higher self has already set it in motion, when you do your rituals, you're going to get a synchronistic success. It's going to be like, I did it. And in a very real way, you did. But it wasn't your ego mask that did it. It wasn't Aaron that did it. It was your true nature that did it. This can run a little bit abrasive to the more typical left-hand path approach that says your ego is who you are, but that's not what I found. I found that's just one interpretation. So it can absolutely work. It's just if you want to have a more complete, a more visceral, a more vivid, a more integrated experience and sort of make your subjective and objective reality come closer together to being the same, meditation and mindful states are necessary, and they really help. And we'll move on. Yeah, Brent said there was a lot of foreign involvement in the last Civil War. Absolutely. The last revolutions, it always does. They never leave it alone. There's always going to be people jumping in there. Cathanatonic asks, a binary choice is always a control mechanism. And he says, is the left-hand right path and divide also? No, not exactly. These are just options. There's no better or worse path. It's just one that I prefer over one that I don't. The right-hand path is a path of submission where you submit to a higher authority, not recognizing that it is yourself. The left-hand path is one where you choose to become or that you are that source. That's the difference. And both of them eventually lead to the same thing, because ultimately when you're the right-hand path, what ends up happening if you succeed? Well, you rejoin with the higher power that you think is above you, and you become the source. Either way, all roads lead to that same truth. So it's not really a binary choice. It's just, which one do you prefer? You notice I don't tell people you have to be left-hand path or right-hand path. I just prefer the one. I say, I'm not going to kneel. I'm not going to bow. I'm not going to scrape. I'm not going to serve. That doesn't mean that I hate everybody who does. And this doesn't mean that I think that nobody should, but I do prefer it, and I do recommend, especially people who are marching along this path of magic. If you want to have power in magic, don't give it to another entity. Use it yourself. You are that power. And that's where I land on that one. Hopefully I make sense out of that. Oh boy, I scrolled and there's like this weird things happening. Like when I scroll, okay, here we go. Jacob Dow asked a question that's going to be very controversial. All right. He asked, what are your thoughts on the U.S. immigration policy, even in regard to close allies such as Canada and the U.K.? Because you offered me a nice little donation, I'm going to stick my foot in a hornet's nest for a minute here, and I'm going to give you my opinion in general. Immigration by itself is a healthy activity. Immigration is how cultures diffuse and share their biology, their know-how, and their cultures. It is a beautiful and necessary part of a free world. Without it, we would not have any of the innovations that we've had in our world, ever. Everything that we think is cool is a product of the amalgamation of multiple cultures coming together, sharing, and cooperating. However, immigration can be used as a weapon. Immigration can be turned into a weapon by first destabilizing a region or culture, causing them to enter into a third world state where fanatical or otherwise authoritarian governments or people can take control. Limited thinking, fanatical thinking can take control. And then when those people are lost in their own civilization with no food, no money, no education, maybe they believe a system of values that is toxic even to their own people. And then when someone creates a situation of complete inequality between these two regions and says, come on over, we'll give you everything you don't have. What are you creating except a weapon of immigration where these people can come in and be at the whim of the people who are creating that problem? The people who create that problem will offer the solution to that problem. That solution will, of course, be to give them this and that, to give them the same things that everyone should have as citizens. There's nothing wrong with these people. These people are innocent victims of a problem that has been caused worldwide by the same elite that are doing it everywhere. This is not unique to America. It is happening in Europe, in the Middle East. It is happening everywhere that is not locked down with authoritarian regimes. Think about that. Everywhere where you have a remotely free first world, second world even, you have this situation where people are being forced because of crises that are caused by the first and second world to have to flee their homelands. And so there is this horrible Hegelian dialectic, cause and effect. There's a problem that has been created, and you, as an individual, are being required to roll over and allow your treasures, your futures, your country to be, I mean, what can I say? Was it your idea to go to war in the Middle East? Did you personally destabilize the Middle East with your opinions? Did you destroy Latin and South America with your policies for oil, for socialism, for whatever? Did you have any hand in that? No. But they're going to make you pay for it when these poor people come here looking for a better life that they deserve like any human being. And they're going to make you feel guilty into giving up everything. And morally, this is a shadow. And they're using moralism to do it to you. But the problem is, the ones who engineered it aren't paying anything. They're getting away with it, and they're fucking you. And then people come to me and say I'm a bigot because I don't want that. Because my entire life I've stood against their fucking bullshit that they do in these countries to destabilize them in the first place. I don't want to go to war over oil or bullshit that they say that we need. Every time I turn around, I'm going, stop it. And now I'm a bigot because I don't want the next stage of that plan to happen. This is a mind fuck that they're putting everybody through. And if that's not a sane answer to you, if you don't hear what I'm saying as being non-biased, if you don't see that I am truly, deeply concerned about the plight of people, and that I don't have a problem with individual people, I don't have a problem with immigration, even if it's at warp speed, but if it's justified by proper, whatevers, there's a problem. Yeah, we can make the argument, yeah, we'll get rid of all the borders, we'll get rid of all of this stuff, and we'll have it one. Yeah, but that's you who wants that. That's the ideologue in you. That's the ideology. That's an ideal. But that's not what the powers that be will do for you. That's not what they're going to create for you. They're going to create a system where you are a serf. And they'll make you feel really good about it too. They're going to make you feel like, hey, I saw there was a problem in this country, and because we're so superior, we're going to let them all move in here. And they can have these jobs and that jobs, and they can have part of my paycheck, and I won't feel bad. And that's great. I mean, sure, I don't have the money to do anything with anymore, but I feel better. This is how religion gets you. They convince you you're sinful, and you have to be moralistic and humble to fix it. And that's all I'm going to say. Let's see. Aaron Phillip. I don't know. Someone says I didn't answer a question about Aaron Phillip. Let me see. I think I did. Yeah, I think I did answer that one. Let me scroll down. I'm way behind on the chat, guys, so I see there's another Patreon. Thank you, Alpha Draconian. Thank you, sister. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely right on. We need to terminate them let's say delete or something. I don't know if terminate will get past the censors, but you know what I'm saying. All right, let me scroll down. I've been missing some people here. I see Quetting's been chatting. I haven't said anything to him. Thank you, EA, for coming. I just saw you're leaving. With that, I'm going to hit a good Blu-ray meditation. Yeah, we absolutely need that. Yeah, if you guys don't know, that's a great third eye opening meditation, Blu-ray meditation. Watch a horror show with the kiddo. Good night, everyone. Thank you for your work and your being present, DH. Thank you, Quetting. I'll chat you up later, man. I'll chat you up later. So much going on here. I don't know how, like I'll comment and he'll notice me, and I don't know how he does it. I don't know how you notice people. It's like so small. Like I need to be like, you guys do realize I wear these for a reason, right? Let's see. But yeah, thank you, Alpha Draconian. Thank you so much. You've always been there and supporting me in my work, and I see that all the time. And I know you don't just follow me because I know you agree with a lot of the stuff that I'm saying, and I know where you stand. Let's see. Noel Wilding points out, very wise. Everything that is a positive can be used as a negative and weaponized. Do you ever watch the movie The Green Mile? What does he say? He says he gets them what they love. That's how they get you, guys. They get you with your love, with your compassion. At least that's what they're doing right now. In the past, they'll get you with their hate or with your bigotry or whatever, but right now they're getting you with your love. And then when that flips around, I'm going to be on the other side again. People who knew me in the 80s and 90s, I was one of the most liberal, diehard people you can get to. Abortions for everybody and abortions for nobody, whatever you fucking want to do, gay marriage, go for it, the whole fucking works. But I'm also for gun rights, and I'm also for, drug legalization. I'm also for, right now, it's not that we need strong borders. We need to fix the fucking problem that is causing the problem. And it's not the borders. It never was the borders. We didn't have a problem with our borders 50 years ago, 100 years ago. What we had a problem with is the destabilization of other countries and the creating of incentives that bring people here. That's the problem. And I bet you, I wonder how many people unsubbed me now that, like, if they watch this, put in the comments put in the comments if you think I'm going to lose or gain subs because of what I just went on a rant about, because I finally admitted certain things about my my politics. Yeah, I don't see too many new comments, but guys, what's up, Tasha? How's it going? I haven't seen you in a little bit. How's it going, Tasha? What's going on? I think Lovering's saying that they're nervous because they're going to be doing some rituals and it's maybe like their first time or something. I wasn't sure if I caught that. Yeah, Lovering, what's the issue? Are you nervous about ritual you're doing, or is it something unrelated to magic? So, Lover, what do you mean? You're going to start streaming, or what is it? What is it you're talking about? Oh, speaking online. Yeah. Yeah. If you're part of Dark Sorcery or my Maelstrom group, if it's magic related, please post it there. And we'll try to get some people to watch it and make you really nervous. It's not that bad, guys. It's really not. It takes some practice, but it's not that bad. If you guys saw my old videos from like when I started this channel, like in 2014, I was like every boob you ever saw. Like I'd get up in front of the camera like, this, oh boy, you know, like, even when nobody's watching it, I'm just shooting a damn video. I couldn't think of what to say. You start to become natural in front of the camera after a while. And it helps when you have a persona to hide behind, but then you still act like yourself behind it. So DH Thorne is absolutely who I am, but it's also a persona that I hide behind at the same time. So I feel like an actor with a stage name, but I'm like a comedian who's really speaking what he really thinks, you know? So, oh, Lovering is Fern Atlock. All right, never mind. I know who you are, brother. You're awesome, man. Guys, if you don't know who Fern is a great guy. He's done his own books, and interesting fellow. He's got some interesting geometric stuff that he does that I've seen. He does run, was it the Academy of Sorcery? I forget. He invited me there a while ago, but I'm in so many groups. But he's a great guy, and he's very supportive of legitimate sorcery. And he doesn't, you never cause drama for anybody. You want to see somebody who never gets in drama? Fern never gets in drama at all. Zero. None. He runs, and in a good way. Like, he doesn't flee. He just, drama? Nope. Done. Let's see. Well, thank you, Wild Cherry, for saying I'm a good speaker. Thank you. You know how much I had to practice? I've always been good at speaking in person, because I've always been taught to be rather thematic and thespianous and ethnistic, but I've never actually taken any acting lessons. I probably should. Loiter Cult says, DH, back to the theater thing. It's all cinema. It sure is. Even in your rituals, it should be at least a little bit. I mean, everybody's different. I'm not saying everybody has to ham it up, but when I go into my ritual chamber, like, I'll put on my ritual garb outside, I'll get it set up, I'll close the door, and I'll go back in. When I open that door and close it behind me, I feel like I'm on. I have to invoke the character. I have to invoke the egregore of my higher self. I have to invoke the sorcerer DH Thorne. Not the YouTuber, not the Facebook guy, not the author. I have to invoke that charismatic God form, that divinity, before I really get to going. And there's a lot of times I don't do that, and it's not as good, and it's not as effective. But when I enter that ritual chamber from the get-go with that I am the sorcerer DH Thorne, and the universe is going to not simply bend to my will, I am the universe, and what I know is. When I enter that ritual chamber with that mentality, I raise my left hand and I inhale the universe, and I raise my right and I crush galaxies, and what I will happens. Little arrogant, perhaps, yes. I mean, obviously it's thematic. Obviously it is metaphoric, what I'm saying. I don't really believe, but then again, maybe if I did, it would actually happen that way. When you understand that you are ultimately the source. That psychodrama is only psychodrama if you don't believe it. If you believe it, it works. Think about that. You're welcome, lover. You're lucky, lovering Fern. I don't know. I'm gonna call you Fern. Thank you, Fern, for your compliment, man. And I appreciate your support and advice you've given me and things. I never have the time to read other people's work, but you do have very interesting notes and very interesting work too. And as always, please share your stuff in my groups. I will always, so long as I have any say about it, you'll always be there and allowed to share. Cathonic Tonic rightly pointed out, DH, you did D&D. There's all the acting. I was the DM, motherfucker. Yeah, you're right. It helps. It definitely helps. You know, there is power in role-playing. There's more power in role-playing than in any occult book by itself. You can read every occult book that has ever been written. If you cannot act in the role of the sorcerer, you're not going to get anything to work. In fact, I've known people who actually used things from, you know, Dungeons and Dragons as inspiration for the rituals. I'm not going to say I never did. You know, again, as we've said, a lot of these things are inspired by spirits because they're real in some way. People talking about Lucifer and angels and Satan, and, you know, I'll let you guys squabble about what you think is what. That is on you. That is on you to believe. Sam A., any advice on finding a magical name? I feel silly during ritual when I say my own name, but I can't seem to find an alternative name that fits. Ooh, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Magical names are both a limitation and a way to liberate yourself. They limit you so long as you can only be that name. They liberate you so long as they are a character that you can act as. Now, of course, there is the age-old belief that your magical name is your true name that comes from your soul, that is what you are. Back to that, I guess it's Egyptian, I think it's the Egyptian source that says that. Everything has a true name, right? But a magical name doesn't have to be your true name. It is simply a name that you can use to feel confident and powerful. Often a name that is given to us is very valuable because we don't have to spend time thinking about it. And a lot of the times, the reason we have trouble picking our magical name is for a kind of a flaw of humility. And what I mean by that is like, we'll pick a name like, I am the, you know, Galaxicon Greatonius or something really fucking weird sounding that sounds like way too cool. And we'll be like, no, I'm not that. I'm just me. I'm just Bob. You know, I can't be that guy. Don't take that powerful name. Take that powerful name if you want it. And there's nothing wrong with changing names midway through the river, but I would try to stick with one if you can pick it. This is one of the reasons why I recommend that people use a sigil, that people create a sigil for themselves that doesn't have a name. And that's probably why I put that in my book as what you do instead of a magical name. Because a magical name has a lot of baggage that goes along with it in some cases. But a sigil is a shape. It is an expression of what you are without some kind of meaning behind it, other than that's me. Now, some people, I've heard some people say, and I wasn't aware of this when I wrote this, that that's like taking a mark or something and they don't like to do that. Fair enough. By all means, disregard it, don't do it. But I've done it. I've given marks to people, if you will. I have a ritual process that I've done for people where I will go into meditation. I will try to find a sigil that I think represents your soul and your character, and I will send you that, and you pay me money, and you get to act like you made it up and use it, and that's great. It's useful to those people. But I recommend, of course, that you find your own. But as a magical name, your magical name, you know, again, I think it has a lot to do with being overly humble or being falsely humble when you can't pick one. Make it whatever motivates you. Whatever makes you feel like that is who I would be. So another way to think of it, maybe for you, is to envision who you would be if you could be the sorcerer that you don't know that you are. What do they look like? What do they sound like? How do they dress? How do they smell? How do they speak? Create an egregore of this character that you are. Give it a name and then assume it in ritual. Try that. Like making a D&D character. It's no different, except this is not for a game. This is for magic. All right, let me see here. I am losing you guys. I am losing you guys. Where are we? Okay, let's see. Loiter Cult says he joined my Facebook group, but he's still pending. Loiter, are you talking about on Become the Maelstrom? Private message me on Facebook. It could be that you've tried to join without answering the questions, and I always just automatically turn those down. So if you're talking about Become the Maelstrom, that could be it. Unless I have you blocked for some reason, but I see you here all the time and I talk to you, so I don't think you're a problem. So private message me on Facebook and make sure you mention who you are on YouTube. And as soon as I get around to it, I'll try to add you to. If you're talking about Become the Maelstrom, I'll add you. You know, it could be you just missed the questions, or I don't know, honestly. Sometimes my wife approves or disapproves people, but she does a good job of it, so I'm not blaming her. It could just be something that slipped through. If you have a pending application, there could be a bug because there's no pending applications as far as I can see right now. So let's see. Johan points out very apropos, I think is the right word, that's why all the fundies and trad Christians tried to stop us all from gaming back in the day, because, as many people might know, legitimate Dungeons & Dragons, the old school stuff, was, of course, they borrowed real mythology to create their worlds and their god, their pantheons. And, you know, think about that. Let's see. Oh, I see. Guys, thank you, Jacob, for your beautiful $2 donation. My magical name is Damien Odinson. Cool. Very cool. Damien, of course, ironically, with that recent drama, I mean, I had no idea that Thorne was actually the last name of Damien the Omen, and still, like, sometime like 4 or 5 months ago, I just got the urge to watch The Omen, and I hadn't watched it since I was a little kid. I was like, holy shit, what did I do? I just thought Thorne was like a cool magical name. It sounded like an evil badass. Diamond Antenna, just because, for no other reason except for lightning bolts and fire, that sounds like a lot like Baal right there, you decided to give me a very generous donation of $9.99. Thank you, Diamond Antenna. I appreciate that, and I will try to put it to very good use during this season of the Fool's Plague, as my friend Chthonic Tonic points out. I appreciate that so much, man. Thank you. Again, obviously, guys, the super chats are open, but I do not use that only for answering questions, because I like to answer as many questions and talk to you guys. This is a hangout for me. I didn't really have anything in mind. This is a hangout. So all of you guys asking me questions, I live for this. This is what I like. And they're good questions. And Thurzatsrun, yes. I don't know if I said that right. Anybody here who speaks excellent Norse, or whatever it would be, Scandinavian, correct us all, please. We are stupid. Like I said, I'm from Long Island, yo. You know what I'm saying? In your book, you make a distinction between soul and an astral body. What's the difference? Many thanks. Some things in the book I'm trying to speak in a language of metaphors that help people understand. Don't think of it too much as a mechanical thing, but the soul versus the energy body. All right, so or astral body, if you will. The soul would be like the mind, the encapsulation of your identification, whereas the energy body is more of an egregoric thought form. They're not that different in some ways, except I think the soul is independent of this energy body, this astral body. So in other words, when you go into an astral setting, you envision yourself with a certain identity, a certain form, a certain look, a certain set of abilities or ideas that are you. Your soul, however, would be those things that are maybe more subconscious about you, the things that would allow you to be individuated from other people, that are not things that you think about. They're not things you've decided upon. They're not things that have been done to you. They're not something that has been done by your ego. So our astral body is more like what our ego wears. It's more like what our ego is, whereas our soul is more like the facet of the source that we are. And that soul is limitless. It can be a god in its own right. That soul is divine. And all of the divine beings that we work with would be akin to one of those. So whether that be Lucifer or one of the old gods or one of the demonic, the infernal beings that seem to have so much more astral power, although they don't. It just seems that way, by the way. I know some people aren't going to like to hear that. You have the same capability, you're just not aware of it. So that's what that is. And it's, your soul it's also malleable. It's also almost inconsequential because you are the source as well. So again, I would think of it this way. Imagine that there is an infinite singularity that is the source, and it is source consciousness, shall we say. When that source consciousness shattered, and I like to refer to it as a shattered singularity, it shattered into an infinite number of possibilities. And each one of those fragments, now they're not separated, but it's just like cracked, okay? It created facets like on a jewel. And each one of those facets would be the soul. And then within that soul, you can have a lot of other little facets too, of course. If like if you look at gems, you can have a gem with multiple facets within, obviously they're all individual facets, but you can have like a bigger facet with like little facets in it, little fractures and things within it. As this splits and gets refined, you have more and more identified characteristics and experiences until you get to a being which is self-identified as I am this, without a story to go with it, just a focused awareness, just a source awareness that says, I'm here right now, and this I'm here right now is different from that I'm here right now. They're both valid, they both are a real experience. That's the soul. And then the story we tell on top of that is the astral body. So your identity as a person is an astral body, even if it's in a physical form, even if it's used to encapsulate materiality. But your soul would be that fragment that hasn't had its story told about it, or it does, but it is the source of that story, if you will. So think of it that way. Again, this is defying a little bit of verbal explanation. You can sort of feel the difference if you think about it. If you quiet your mind and you don't have a lot of thoughts going on and you're just letting yourself experience and be, in that moment when there's no story running through your head and you're not telling a story about yourself, you're just existing, you're just being, that's your soul. When you are Bob in accounting, because you're identifying yourself as Bob, that's your astral body or your soul body or your spirit body. And then you invoke that into a physical form in a way, because you see a physical form that matches the features of that astral body. You go, I'm going to be that. And you tell a story around this blob. It's like having a Lego set and you form a character out of something or a story out of it. It's not unlike that. Not at all. But we can get deep into that in another conversation. Okay, but that's the highlight of it, I guess you could say. And you guys are welcome to agree or disagree with all that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's my personal take on it. Coming from a more neutral, non-dualistic. Yeah, I think Cathonictonic tried to, he calls it the Fool's Crown, rather. I think I call it the Crown of Fools. But thank you, Amanda, for keeping track of some of those questions for me, by the way. I don't always get them, but thank you so much for helping. Thudazaz. Thank you, Noel Wilding. Yeah, I think that's how it's supposed to be said. Who is it? Arith Herger? I can never pronounce his name. Go to his channel. He's got some good some good content on Norse stuff. Awesome stuff. Sometimes I fall asleep listening to him, but he's really cool though. I don't really run in the Norse current anymore. I tried for a little bit and it wasn't really for me. But oh my goodness, guys, let me see. Thank you, Amanda, for seeing it similarly, and you have your similar ideas. And again, you guys, like, whatever you guys, you know, I'm not saying that whatever you think is true, it's that it is. How do I explain that? You've heard the saying, I'm just living my best life, right? I'm just living my best life. That's what I'm doing. I'm living my best life. And that is what you're doing. And by that token, you are entitled to make the best sense out of things however you want. You're entitled to understand the universe in whatever way suits you best. So long as you're not trying to ram that shit down someone else's throat, but perhaps offering it as tribute, then you're in the clear. You almost can do no wrong. If you are not forcing others to believe your way or punishing them or hurting them because of it, I'm not saying do no harm. I'm saying you can't do harm if you're acting from a certain place. And that can be a little tricky, so I'm going to kind of leave that on the table and let you think about what I mean there. But you have a right and a responsibility to come up with your own cosmology, your own way of explaining and living the truth that you are. Don't come to my channel and turn what I'm saying into a religion. Not that any of you are doing it, but don't ever do that. If there's ever a posterity watching this, don't ever take what I'm saying just because I have a beautiful setup and say, I've got to do what Thorne says. Fuck that. I say it in my books, I say it everywhere. Take what I'm saying like a buffet. Take what serves you. If I'm explaining something in a way that helps you understand it, roll with it for a while. But create your own cosmology. Create your own reality, guys. That's what a sorcerer does. Chthonic Tonic, thank you, brother. Bedtime. Crush a galaxy for me. May everybody's workings bring wealth and destroy the fools. Yeah, crush those guys. Crush it. You got it, brother. I will definitely do that. We'll play some Star Wars or something soon. I don't know. Do you play anything with Star Wars? We'll play some Star Wars D&D. Thank you, brother. Thank you for being a supporter as always, man. Thank you so much. You guys are awesome tonight. Yeah, we had a pretty big show turnout tonight. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to look at Facebook. Did somebody like share my videos, or did I share it early enough to get enough people to watch it tonight, or are enough people just keyed up because of that drama? Let me know in the comments, because there's so many of you tonight. I mean, I usually get around 30, but I topped out over 50 tonight. What brought you here tonight? Why are you here tonight? Why are we talking? Are you just that bored and I'm just that interesting? Thank you, Lord Weld. I offer it on my Teespring. It is a design I made myself. Not the light, of course. This is, I don't know. It still looks cool without the light, but it helps highlight the colors a little bit if you got a light on it. But if you don't, it still looks cool. It something I designed for myself for Teespring. You may, of course, if you enjoy my content or enjoy my products, of course, go to Teespring, buy whatever you want. I managed to get most of them now finally in, whatchamacallit. I got the previews of everything, obviously, finally. It took a little while before I could get them. So I was a little shaky on endorsing them until I actually got a copy of them myself to see if they were good. But they all came out really well. So especially the tapestries, those came out really, really well. So if you want them, they're there. This is actually the small size. There's actually a like twice this size. It's like 104 inches. And there's actually one that is my my ritual mat you can use if you want to sit on it, put it on the floor, put your stuff in it, or get a big table and use that as a tablecloth for your ritual altar. Would work very well as well. So thank you so much, guys. Sam says, what Star Wars you play? Nothing lately because I'm protesting everything that they did. They ruined it. But other than that, I am a big fan of the original Star Wars stuff. I always will be. Even the prequels I liked to a lesser degree, but I liked them. Expanded universe stuff is cool. I haven't really run a Star Wars game in forever since I was like a teenager. But I always have to be a Jedi. Always. I love playing Jedi. But so right now, nothing. I've kind of refrained. I used to like buying like toy lightsabers and role playing with my kid, and we'd go outside and like we'd fight with our lightsabers. It was fun. But honestly, I don't have time for gaming like I used to. I dedicate like Friday nights to hanging out with my friends around the world, and we play video games. We do Cards Against Humanity. We'll do Jackbox games. We'll do MMOs, and sometimes I've streamed it, but I didn't really like streaming it. It kind of put a even though everybody had a good time, it kind of was like, I felt like we were like not playing a game. It felt like we were working. But yeah, I mean, at some point, I might start creating, because, I'm bored. There's not a lot of people around here doing cool stuff. Maybe I'll create a Discord channel and people could get in there and play with me with stuff. Room to Move. I'm a new subscriber and just bought your books. So I'm hungry for all this knowledge. I hope you enjoy them. If you're not, make sure you join my Facebook group, Become the Maelstrom. And if you have any questions or comments, so long as they're polite, post them there. Criticisms too, so long as they're polite. I had one guy like 2 months ago, come in ranting about how much he loved my book. And then he called me a crazy flake for believing in solipsism, which is a complete misrepresentation of non-duality. And I said, thank you, please go away. Thank you for being rude about it. He got all butthurt, and then on Amazon, he left a review saying that I threatened his family, which if you read the exchange there, that never happened. I don't know what he's talking about. Never did it in private either. I can show you everything I sent the guy. It's like, I don't know, some people just Fruit Loops. I'm not saying you're going to do that. It's just that if you don't agree, that's cool. Just be nice. Just be nice. Be gentle. It's my life's work. Brent says, adult material can become a rut, so I needed a perspective. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to get out there and have fun, and just adult. What is that word, adult? Fuck adult. Jennifer Vatsa says, I think I followed your channel after EA's live stream yesterday, and you keep showing up in my Facebook friend suggestions. I'm paying them really well. They better be showing up. I'm just kidding. Awesome. Thank you for being here. I hope I can continue to entertain you, if nothing else. I'm trying to do at least one good quality video a week plus a stream, and then a couple others in between when I can. I try to do at least 2 videos, be it a stream and a pre-recorded or something like that every week. So at least 2 videos a week. Thursday is my stream night right now, but I sometimes switch it up. Daryl says, I'm here tonight because I finally clued in. You do this on Thursday evenings. Lately I do, because it's kind of, it's just been a good night. It'll change someday. I'll have to switch it again someday, but for now, this is a perfect night for me. And if I'm skipping anybody, like Tara, hey Tara, I keep seeing you like posting. I think you're talking to other people, then you say nice things to me, so thank you as always, Tara. Tara's like a true blue fan. Tara's an interesting character. Tara's been through some stuff. But one thing you cannot say is that she does not have very valid experiences. And in talking with her, I'm interested to see where she goes with her work. I don't know if she's ever going to make public work, but I'm interested to see where she goes with her healing and her gnosis and her and her friends and things like that. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with everything that her friends are saying or anything, but she's been a good person to me. and she's been very, very, very interesting. I don't have time to read and respond to everything you write me, Tara, because you're like me. You probably write like 200 words a minute like I do, and you get like when you get on a roll, it's just forget it. See, I missed something there. Fern asks, well, B Lovering asks, are you ever interested in a collaboration? I would be, like get some, especially like video collaboration. That's what I'm more about. Like I don't like doing written collaboration or anything like that lately because it's just not what I'm into. I like to write my own works, and occasionally I'll give credit to people who give me suggestions or helpful corrections or whatever while I'm doing my studies to get them right. Shadownomicon has a lot of shout outs in there because I tapped a bunch of people for help with translation of Hebrew. Even though I didn't use it at all, I promised them that if they helped me, I would give them a shout out. So that kind of collaboration, I kind of limit. But if you want, once you get your video legs under you and you feel comfortable doing videos, absolutely. Once you get ready, not because I just don't want you to be like in front of a giant audience and be nervous too much. But yeah, absolutely, man. Do you think you'll ever make a Marcos? I can never say that demon's name. I don't know because I don't really make mats for specific spirits much. But artwork for them, if I work with them, I will eventually. I've got 2 sigil artworks on my Teespring that are posters right now, and I think T-shirts. I forget. One of them is definitely I think they're both posters and T-shirts. You can check them out. One's for Malphas, and the other one's for King Person. So if you're interested in those. Okay, Loiter says, so Loiter, are you saying that it's cleared up? If not, when this stream's over, I'll take a look into whatever. So I'll see what's going on, if it makes sense. Okay. So cool, Fern. Yeah, when you get your video legs under you for a little bit, and we'll know when it's time, because you've got a lot to share, and I know you're a little. What would you describe yourself? I think you described yourself to me as a little on the introverted side. You're just getting used to talking publicly. So, yeah. So when you're up for it, we'll talk again about that. All right, guys, how long have we been going? Oh, right about the 2-hour mark. I usually clip it around 2 hours because I like people to come and watch these later. And when they're like 5 hours long, people don't tune in as much. Let's see. All right, guys. So I also see the people are starting to drift out. So, guys, I really appreciate you tonight. If you guys, I'm going to give you guys like 5 more minutes. So if you have any more questions or comments you want me to read, you got 5 more minutes. I'm going to close this out at just about the 2-hour mark. So I'll wait a few minutes to see if you guys have any other questions or comments you want to post. And I should be doing this again every week. I might even do it 2 times a week if I'm really bored, because some nights I don't have anything going on. And I've been kind of in a writing lull. I don't want to say it's been bad, but if you go to my Facebook group, Become the Maelstrom, you'll see that I've decided that I'm going to start releasing micro grimoires instead of trying to lump it all into one big one. When it's stuff that can be released in a smaller package, like 30, 50 pages or something, I'll release them as smaller books that they're more mix and match, because they're not foundational works. They're more like, hey, here's a grimoire about this particular demon that I like working with, and it's 30 pages of my gnosis and chants and rituals to them, and I'll start putting stuff like that out, or about specific subjects. So. Sam's right. This is a good treehouse. You got that right. Like I said, I don't know what caused the big turnout tonight. I don't know if people were just sharing it or what. But I really appreciate you guys coming and showing me your love and support and friendship. And this is not a one-way street by all means. This kind of stuff helps me to be inspired and it helps me to do more work. And I hope that, I'm not a love and light type of person by any stretch, but I do believe in energy for energy, economics of intent and spirituality. And if I'm helping other people find their own divinity, then ultimately as a non-dualist, I understand I'm helping myself. And so in that effort, the more people are enwizened by their own experiences, whether mine are good or not, the more people are enwizened, the better I get to experience reality. So why wouldn't I encourage other people to see and have the same kinds of perspectives that would help them? Jacob, those mini grimoires will be a lot cheaper than my normal work. And at some point, my main books will probably come down, at some point, and I'll probably offer some later editions for them too, where I add more to it. I mean, there's always something. I mean, I'm a business person as well as a spiritualist, so I've got to make sure I keep food on the table, right? So I'm gonna be releasing updates to things eventually, but my micro grimoires are going to be a lot cheaper because they are so much shorter. So I'm estimating, I have to see what it works out to be because Amazon takes their cut and then I get a little piece after that. It's a big piece, let's be honest, it's like 75% if I price it right. But I have to make sure that it's priced right. But I'm aiming to where the Kindle books will be between 2 and 4, depending upon the length, and the paperbacks will be 3 times. So 3 times that is what I'm aiming for. So between like 6 and 12 for the paperbacks. And that's a lot better for a lot of people. And these shorter ones will probably be a little bit more Kindle friendly. I don't like big books on Kindle. I don't know if you're like me. I don't like big instruction manuals on Kindle. I like the paperbacks. So Become the Maelstrom and Shadownomicon will always be at their best in the paperback format. Kindle is always going to feel a little weird because it was, let's be honest, Become the Maelstrom is 160,000 words. It's a big 10 by whatever book. It's like 10 by 8 or something. It's a big ass book. It's not easy to do in Kindle, but I did it. I don't like it, but people like it that way, so that's fine. But these smaller grimoires will probably be the same size format as Shadownomicon, so like 6 by 9, and probably instead of 200 pages, they'll be like this thick, like little booklets basically, between 30 and 60 pages. That's my aim. And unless it's good enough to release, I won't do it. I don't believe in just putting out a pamphlet of bullshit. I want to put out a full, complete work. This is the introduction. This is something that I'm teaching and talking about. This is maybe my testimonial of what I've done with it. And here's the rituals you can use. Stuff like that. Like that's the general format that I like. Yeah, Seeking Serpent agrees with me. I like Kindle, don't get me wrong, I like reading on Kindle when I can, but I prefer paper. Power is magic, magic. Man, one of those questions could be like a 4-hour or 3-second conversation. It really depends. What is knowledge? Can religious belief be justified? What is the nature of the mind? Do humans have free will? What is the morality of right and wrong? How should society be organized? Brother, why don't you just ask me what the meaning of 42 is? Anybody who gets that, you get a cookie. Yes, Evan. You don't have to do Maelstrom first, but I recommend it. There's a lot of principles in Maelstrom about how to do basic ritual work and magic in general, the principles of non-duality and my own thoughts about those things which are useful but not required. Shadownomicon does stand on its own, but I do recommend Maelstrom first. So that would be where I would start. Shadownomicon is not something you jump into as a total novice because those beings can be a little dangerous. It really depends on, like if you've never done a ritual before, don't touch Shadownomicon. If you've already got your feet wet and you work with spirits already, by all means, if you feel ready, try it. Just be careful because those beings, although everyone's experiencing them, working with them intentionally is it's like running at the guy with the knife or the gun rather than running away. So there's a risk there. That's all I'm going to say. Alvin asks, what do you recommend doing before starting the Maelstrom book? Honestly, I wrote Maelstrom to be something you could start with from no knowledge at all. You can begin with that book. Hopefully I put it in English that is clear enough that you can follow it. If not, Always go to the source of non-dualistic thinking if you want to understand where I'm coming from. So go to Advaita Vedanta, go to Neoplatonic, if you can read through Plotinus, which is difficult for most people. But anything that has to do with monism, Gnosticism isn't too far off. Hermeticism isn't too far off. You know, they're all kind of seeing the same truth and interpreting it different ways. Some of them are actually inspired by Neoplatonism, like Gnosticism cross-pollinated with Gnosticism quite a bit. Even pantheism is a monistic perspective, if you will. It's just instead of it being a deity-less thing like source consciousness is, it says it's God. It's the same idea. So Klipothic work has that kind of core within it. But you can definitely, like Alpha Draconian says, study Gnostic knowledge. Very similar. It's different. It's definitely different. But in some ways, Gnosticism is like a simplified, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but in some ways it's a little easier to understand. Don't worry too much about Demiurge and Sophia and all that. That gets a little religious. But the principles behind it are very useful. The idea of source consciousness, emanations, God forms, shadows, all of that is contained within that principle. And you can definitely start from there. But my work gets you started. So if you read my book, read the non-duality chapter, if you understand what I'm saying in a poetic sense, it'll start to click. Just study like Alan Watts. Study Alan Watts in particular. He's awesome. Because he's so laid back. It's just, you'll just, meditate with him playing and you'll just go, oh, okay, that's simple. He untangles it so well. He inspired a lot of my my character. Jennifer asks, what's 6x9? This book, this one, Shadownomicon. That's 6. Here it is. Where is it? I don't know. 6x9. All right, guys, so whatever's on the screen is what I'm going to end with right now. Let me see, make sure. Power is magic, magic. What are your opinions on the 5 levels of possession? It's a lot of questions coming at you tonight, man. I don't know anything about it. It's not in my terminology book. I'm not sure what that refers to. I will have to look it up. I honestly don't know. Like I said, I'm like a babe in the woods when it comes with other people's work. I have no clue. And I don't like putting too much opinion on other people's work. I either like it or I ignore it. All right, guys. So that's going to be about it. Once again, if you guys want to support my work, like, comment, subscribe, share. Those things are free. Love it. And it shows me you're interested. Any questions, if you're watching this after the stream, post them in there, and sometimes I get to them in a comment later, sometimes if they're reasonable. If you want to support me financially or professionally, there are links in the description to my books, to my Patreon, and my Teespring. I also have a website which is kind of getting outdated because I found it's not really that useful. So I may scrap it and turn it into something else next year. We'll see. But check it out. It's got a few things on it here and there. Some of that's outdated. But definitely the links to my Patreon, my Teespring, Facebook, Dark Sorcery, of course. I frequent there pretty often. I am still an admin there, although I'm not as active. The other guys took over quite a bit, and it's really Alfredo's group. So he administers it, he runs it, and I'm just sort of a welcome guest there who still has some authority, but they're still really good guys, and I really endorse everything they do, especially Carrie, Uriel, and Alfredo, and all of them, really. They're all really good people. They've always done right by me. They've always been, and Michael Heisen, they've always been respectful and honest and generous people. And whether you agree with everything they say or not shouldn't be important. Recognize that they're honest in what they're doing and respect them for that. You'll notice that they really all try to refrain, for the most part, from any kind of real drama. They're all just trying to share what their practices are and just legitimately care about putting their true information out there. So check those guys out if you're not familiar with them. They're still like my brothers and sisters out there. So, and of course, EA's not here, Behemoth's not here, a lot of these guys aren't here. those guys are awesome friends of mine, even though like we don't always talk and everything. I really recommend their channels too. You know, EA Quetting, for better or for worse, whether you like Balg or not, EA Quetting, in my experience, I've been talking to him now for a while, and sure, he could be tricking me, but I'm enjoying his friendship a lot. And you know, that's how it is. That's how it should be, right? So, all right, guys, this will be it. Thank you so much, everybody. I'll talk to you probably next week. Mind the shadows.